Good evening. Welcome to the Design Review Board meeting of November 13th, 2025. The time is 5:09 p.m. Please refrain from talking amongst yourselves during the meeting, and please silent your mobile phones at this time. The DRB meeting is being broadcast live on GTV6, viewable on Spectrum Cable, Channel 6, and AT&T UVerse, Channel 99. Meetings are also streamed live in high definition on the city's webpage, glendaleca.gov/live, on youtube.com/myglendale, and on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire devices using a free app called Cablecast, choosing Glendale TV from the menu. Meetings are also archived on the city's website for viewing at any time at glendaleca.gov/agendas. For public comment and questions during the meeting, please call 818-937-8100. City staff will be submitting questions and comments in real time to the appropriate person. Current DRB agendas and staff reports are being available online, visiting the website at www.glendaleca.gov. Record decisions for all projects will be posted online on the Planning Division's website. Please note any appeal of the case heard today must be filed within 15 calendar days of the DRB's decision date. Meetings are also archived. The appeal application is available online at www.glendalepermits.com. This will be roll call. Board Member Lakarev.
Present.
Board Member Simonian.
Present.
Board Member Halajian.
Present.
Board Member Welsh.
Present.
And Mr. Chair Kaskanian.
Present.
Okay. Prior to reports regarding the posting of the agenda for the November 13th, 2025 regular meeting for the Glendale Design Review Board was posted on the city's website and on the bulletin board outside the City Hall on November 6th. Next, we have the approval of minutes. These are for the minutes for September 25th and October 9th. If no comments, do we have a motion for the approval of minutes?
I'll make a motion to move with approval.
Okay.
Second.
Do we have a quick second? Okay. Okay. Board Member Lakarev?
Yes.
Board Member Simonian?
Yes.
Board Member Halajian?
Yes.
Board Member Welsh?
Yes.
And Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Okay. Oral communications. Discussions is limited to items not part of this agenda. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes. Design Review Board may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate or decision. Do we have any cards or anybody on the phones? Yeah.
Nope.
No cards. And do we have anything on the Comrex?
Sorry. Were we also going to, did you say if we only approved September 25th, are we going to approve the October 9th one as well?
I did mention October 9th.
Sorry,
but
I didn't hear
we
that.
can do another roll call if there was a misunderstanding.
No. Perfect. Yeah, I didn't hear that.
Okay. So just for the record, that we did roll call for September 25th and October 9th. Perfect. And I apologize if I did not say that. October 9th, yeah. Okay. Next is, being that there are no cards or anybody requesting for oral communications, next is board commission member comments. Do we have any comments this evening? Okay, I see none. We have no old business, and we have, we're going to go on to new business. We have 3 items this evening. The first one for 1928 Melwood Drive will be taken off this evening's calendar. It will be renoticed unto a date uncertain. So this will be heard this evening. We're going to move on to the second item here. This is going to be located at 1326 Linden Avenue, and I'm going to hand it over to the case planner to do a brief presentation. Ms. Paulina. Yeah.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you, Chair and board members. This case number is going to be PDR 005640 for the project site located at 1326 Linden Avenue. The project site is an 8,220 square foot rectangular shaped lot located in the R1 zone, FAR District 1, near the El Miradero neighborhood. Originally developed in 1928, the site currently features a one-story, approximately 1,252 square foot, single-family dwelling with a detached two-car garage. There is a slope on the lot where the property fronts on Linden Avenue and slightly levels down as you head south towards Kenneth Road. The photo on the top is the view from the front of the property facing Linden Avenue, and the photo on the bottom is the view from the rear side of the home where a majority of the addition will occur. So I put the existing and proposed site plan, and then I kind of made it a little bigger on the right side so you can see it better because it is kind of small, the font. The proposed additions are in the front and the rear of the property. The applicant is proposing to enclose the front porch and reposition the front entry to face Linden Avenue. It currently is off to the side, with the stairs being accessed from the driveway, so they will reposition to have the entryway, paved walkway and stairs to be front-facing on Linden. That'll create a 47 square foot addition. As I mentioned, a newly paved walkway leading to the sidewalk, new entryway with columns, stairs, and planters. The remaining additions are in the rear of the property, which feature an extension of the existing home by 669 square feet, and a new basement, which is also located in the rear 50% portion of the property. It's a 488 square foot basement. And then the existing garage is currently 363 square feet with no proposed change. The site is accessed via an existing driveway along Linden and is set to remain as existing. The drawings identify a new paved walkway, as mentioned earlier, leading from the new front entrance towards the public right-of-way. The trash enclosure area, mechanical equipment placement, and street trees are not noted on the site plan, so staff is recommending a condition of approval that the drawings be revised to address this on the site plan. So these are the proposed floor plans. As mentioned previously, the scope of the project includes an addition in the front and the rear of the property, which will accommodate for a larger interior entryway, another bedroom and bathroom in the main home, and a game room with a bathroom in the basement, with minimal change proposed to the architectural style of the home overall. Overall, the site planning is appropriate with the footprint centrally located on the site, similar to what is there now, but just with an expanded footprint. The street does not have a predominant setback pattern, and the proposed addition fronting Linden Avenue will not bring the house closer to the street. So are the elevation drawings. With the exception of the design of the front entryway, overall, the exterior model, including the new floor area addition, integrates with and complements the existing house, and its design and detailing are appropriate and consistent with the style of the residence through the use of materials and colors. The existing overall height of 15 feet and 6 inches in the front portions and 19 feet in the rear portion of the residence will also be maintained. The project includes a gable roof design with a hip roof entry that is compatible with the overall project, and the use of a 5 to 12 roof pitch for the addition is consistent with the existing home. In terms of design and detailing, the consistency in the use of materials and colors reinforces the existing design concept. Overall, the proposed windows are appropriate to the building in terms of its style, material, operation, installation. The new windows will be located in the rear addition and are noted to be fiberglass. The existing and newly proposed windows have an appropriate combination of casement, fixed, and slider operations. The new window schedule does not specify the frame type for the new windows, and also needs to be fixed to show the correct number of windows being replaced, because the floor plan currently notes that there are 4 windows being replaced while the schedule only notes 3 windows. So staff is recommending conditions to include revising the window schedule to show the correct number of window replacements and identify the frame type appropriate for new construction. Lastly, downspouts, entry door details, and exterior lighting details are not identified on the plan, so staff is recommending a condition of approval that the drawings be revised to address these items. This is the rendering for the project that was provided. The proposed materials include precast concrete veneer for the columns, dove gray color texture stucco to match the existing, and flat clay tile roof material that are appropriate to and compatible with the style of the existing residence. And then this is the material sheet that was provided that details the color of the new roof tiles, the color of the stucco to match the existing, the new railings in the rear, the material of the entry columns, and the new windows for the rear addition. So staff recommends approval of the project with the following conditions. The applicant shall comply with all the recommendations identified by the Urban Forestry Department, comments dated October 28th. And just to specify, their comments were, to add the location of the protected city street trees in the public right-of-way. So that could just be added to the condition for the site plan revision. And then to restudy and reduce the proportions of the entryway, making it less monumental, appropriately integrating with the existing scale and design of the house. The third condition would be provide a new window schedule to include the correct number of new windows and or replacement windows, and identify the correct frame type for the new windows. And lastly, the fourth condition would be to provide revised plans, which would include site plan elevations and detail with light fixtures, an entry door appropriate to the design of the residence, as well as downspouts on the house, trash location, and ground mechanical equipment identified on the plans. And as it relates to public comments, staff has received no written comments in favor or in objection of this project. And that concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? No?
Can I briefly see the material board one more time? Okay. I just wanted to see the precast concrete veneer. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. No.
Good.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, no questions for staff. We have one speaker card. Hamlet Sadekyan, if you can please come up, say your name for the record.
Good evening, board members, commissioner. My name is Hamlet Sadekyan. I'm the architect of the project, and we wanted to present the project that integrates into the community. But I think the reason we're here, actually, I want to thank Paulina and Milka for helping us through the process of refining this design. I think besides everything else, it's the entry is the main issue, that the reason we're here to discuss. Staff thinks it's monumental, but in my opinion, and I mean, we've lowered the roof lower so that it doesn't create a height. But essentially, I think it fits in just right as far as being able to fill in that gap between the living room and the dining room. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Yes. Go ahead, Mr. Simonian.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In regards to the materials, we have a rendering here of the front. What material are the planters in the front that are on either side of the entry?
They're going to be stuccoed over to match the house.
And then is the idea to paint those the same color as the walls?
Yes, that's the.
And then the stairs themselves, because everything's so white, so I'm wondering what material are the stairs
The
themselves?
stairs are going to be concrete.
Concrete.
Yes.
Okay. That's the only question I have.
I mean, my question is similar. It is really about the colors. Is it all going to be the same color palette, or are you trying to do any kind of differentiation between the materials?
I think the precast is going to be slightly darker than the Dove gray stucco that we're going to use.
So there'll be
A little bit of-
sufficient contrast that
Yes.
you can see the
Not
differentiation?
too much, but yes,
Okay.
you will have enough contrast there.
Go ahead.
Did you consider other materials or for where the precast concrete is in your renderings or design process?
I think the owner's been intent on using precast concrete from the get-go, from the beginning of the design.
Okay.
How about different textures of the finish? Like, it just seems everything white and smooth. I was wondering if there's any consideration, even the planter, maybe stone face, split face.
We'll definitely take that into consideration if that's. I think we're more concerned about the scale of the entry. That's.
And also, did you explore other roof options for the entrance, in terms of pitch or direction?
Well, yes, our initial design was a gable roof, but having three gables next to each other just doesn't. Having a hip roof in the middle is much more appealing as far as aesthetically, and it breaks the monumentality of. I think having a gable roof in the middle would really make that tall. So we went with a hip roof in the middle, just to lower the scale. But I think typically we'd like to use hip roofs between gables whenever you have three of them.
Or a flat shed roof? Or did you try anything like that?
A flat shed roof, I think that would create more of a modern design, which we're trying to stay away from.
Thank you.
Board Member Simonian?
One more question, if I may. There's a picture at the bottom left, and then the rendering as well seem to have the same bay windows on the left and right side as the picture.
Yes.
I assume those windows are existing?
Existing, and they're gonna stay. We're not touching
And
those.
they are different styles in essence, because one has a division on the left side, and the right one is plain. Was this kind of permitted under a separate permit at some point in time?
That's the existing, and I think that's a shadow, by the way. I don't, the window, the existing window on the left doesn't have any
Is there like a
grids
table?
on it.
Is there like a table behind it, or is it shadow, or I don't know?
It might be because there's no are you talking about the vertical?
Horizontal.
If you look at the
The
picture.
yes.
there's a
No,
horizon-
on the existing photo, it's there. If you look at the existing photo of the, sure.
Do you want me to pull up the existing photo of the home?
Yes, so I was wondering why, I was wondering about the rhyme and reason for the window types, and it seems as though there is a division in there.
Yeah, like, we're not touching the windows. The windows are staying as is. Those two
I
windows.
suspect that's just an
in the
operable
front.
vent on the one on the left to let in
Yeah,
fresh air.
Might be a hopper window there.
And the intent is to kind of keep the left and right side as is, and to remodel the entryway to give it more presence.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, currently the door is on the left side and it just enters right into the dining room. The intent is to have a proper entry in the middle there.
Okay.
And the challenge was to
Don't have any
basically fill
questions.
that area in without, and how do you do it? It's the only way to do it is to have a roof that fills that area in.
Another follow-up question. The gable ends, they seem to have it looks like almost a curved
Yes.
sort of overhang. Are those going to be squared off?
Yes, those
That's
are
your
going to be
intention, is to
squared
square
off
them
in our updated design, correct. Yeah, we're going to remove the curves.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we have any callers?
There are no callers at the time.
Okay, so we're going to close the public portion and then go into deliberation. Board Member Simonian?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I generally agree with staff in that the entryway, along with the overall language of the facade in the front, needs some work. I feel as though it is very bland. I think by integrating the planters, it's really a good opportunity to integrate some new materials and some sort of a maybe stone veneer onto those planters. And it could be a modern one, but at the same time, it would actually give it quite a bit of texture. Similarly with the stairs as well. You could have, a dark stone, let's say, or some other type of a modern stone, but just those two factors in themselves would, I think, create some layering to the front. I also think that if the client or the designer or the architect is interested in kind of keeping this entrance, then some other aspects of the design will need to be manipulated as well. For example, on the left and right side, we should really integrate some sort of a horizontal band, a building base to it. And so now when we have the planters and then the building base themselves, that would create, I think, enough of a presence as far as of a base of a building to then work from. But I think all white, dove white stucco with the white precasts, with the white planters, with that front door has too much of a contemporary modern feel to this kind of a modest addition. It's almost like you would have that front door in a 5,000 square foot home, something bigger. So I think what is happening is you're trying to integrate this look, but it's really a modest addition in a modest area. So with that said, I do think that compromises would have to be made. If you're trying to keep that vertical component, then we really need to start kind of adding additional layers to it, to the base, the planters, the entryway, and then maybe even think about some sort of it could be precast, but it could be more of something that has more natural tones to it, where we're really softening up this facade. And mind you, you have existing windows that have a darker tint to them. They're black. So you're already working with this set language of windows. Now, then you're integrating a change in the roof material as well. And we got to be mindful that this should have a cohesive language to it. So I think it would be interesting if we have that kind of a dialogue and see what little tweaks we could integrate and to try to come up with a more cohesive design language. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Board Member White?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to agree and disagree a little bit because I don't actually think, or at least I don't have the impression that the entryway is monumental in proportions. But I do understand what you're talking about, especially in regards to this monochromatic palette there, that it's just white on white on white. Even the light fixtures are sort of a light white or silvery color. So I think that's, in terms of trying to establish a consistent design language here, I agree that some element of the darker wood, darker windows could be brought in by the use of darker light sources, and then some kind of variation. So I would be okay with even just a color variation in this precast, as opposed to, a complete reworking of that. So I think as long as there was something that created that, and then having it tying into the planters, whether we do any kind of additional foundation treatments or not, I'm not as fussed about, but I do think that something needs to differentiate it. Scale-wise, the hip roof, I agree. I think it's an appropriately done solution here. The overall expansion you're talking about here is quite modest. It's all at the back. It's all kept on a single story. In fact, you're going subterranean with the big part of the addition. So, I applaud all of those choices there. So I really just think it's just some minor tweaking, and I'm curious to hear what other people think, but that would be all I'd be looking for is something along those lines. So, thank you.
I also find it's a modest addition, but I agree with Board Member Simonian as I don't feel it's quite cohesive yet. I think there are several things we can do to address that. But I think that it's feasible. We can work through some conditions to get there. I think that I like Board Member Welsh's idea of some color or some kind of variation in the tone of the precast concrete, and I think it is a great idea to bring that precast concrete to the planters, because that will kind of combine ideas in terms of creating a base. And it would be a good consideration to also bring that to the right side of the facade at the base as kind of a lower, to carry that precast concrete across a little bit more, just to tie it in. I feel the building needs to be tied in more. The central item feels out of place at the minute to my eye. And I do kind of miss the original center where it had a flat, not flat roof, but in terms of the arch that's been introduced there, I think that it's almost too many arches in a row for me, and I'd love to hear everyone else's thoughts on that. I'd almost rather that be straight across, and that might help address some of the monumentality. My other thought was it could be as small of a difference in the roof line as bringing down the fascias so they align with each other. So the fascia of this entry, if it aligns with the fascia of the existing structure, it's only, I mean, it's maybe 6 inches or so. It appears, I think it would help a lot with making it seem more integrated. And let's see my other thoughts. I like the idea also of just considering what the stair and pathway could be to bring more layers. I think more layer and texture in would be great. And I think that's all my thoughts for now. But overall, I think we can get there just with some conditions that we come to agree on.
Thank you. Board Member Ladji?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do share a lot of the comments that my board members here suggested. So not to make it repetitive, but it seems too smooth of a smooth stucco on a smooth concrete and then flat tile. So I think implementing some texture and some shapes, I think would also make the entry maybe scale down naturally, right? So that's my thought, and then you can play with colors and make it, comply with the neighborhood. So those are my thoughts, and I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Overall, I concur with a lot of what my board members also have said. I do think that we do need to change up a little bit in regards to the colors. I think that would help out with a lot of how the current house is laid out. It does look a little bit monumental for me in the front. So I would like to hear to see how we can get there. I have a couple notes down that I put. I know Board Member Simonian was saying something along the lines of, having some more modern stone or veneers. And then I know we were talking about different colors that we could, so I just wanted to see kind of like where your guys' thoughts are as far as where we can take it, and what direction you guys want to go with it. So with like the front, if we want to focus on the front right now, the entryway, I think Board Member Lockruff, you said something about the arch. I do think that maybe if we did, just make that straight or flat, I think it would definitely help out over there. But want to hear what your guys' thoughts are about that too.
I don't mind the arch. It's a nod to what's there, and it's, respectful of the history of the house. I know it is a little repetitive, but I'm not convinced that a straight lintel there would actually do very much for the design. So I'm definitely of the opinion that we could rework the condition number 2, to, restudy this entryway, and it could incorporate any or many of these alterations that we're talking about here. Some combination of color, texture, materials to create some differentiation, perhaps to reduce some aspect of monumentality, whether that's, reducing that fascia height or which I'm not sure that I agree with that one. I actually think that having a little differentiation between the fascia for that center section is better than aligning them. But, I'd like to hear other people's opinions. So that's how my thinking is, like, just put a condition out there for staff to work with the applicant to vary things up, using some combination of color, material, and texture.
Okay. Mayor Simonian?
Yeah, I think I believe that's something that we could work with. A thought would be is to introduce a contrast in the precast concrete versus the stucco, and then to carry over the precast as a material onto the planters as a condition, to introduce some sort of a decorative pavers from the sidewalk all the way to the entry. Similarly, to maintain that decorative pattern on the driveway up to the gate. And so then staff could work with the applicant as far as an appropriate material. But now what we've done is created some sort of a texture on the ground. We've created a texture on the planters, matched it up with the material of the entryway. And then we could then ask for some ideas as to some sort of a building base on the right side, whether it's the same precast or something different, but whatever it is would come over and turn the corner. And perhaps a combination of those will give us the variety and will lessen the impact of the entryway. I understand Board Lockroft's idea of lining up the fascia, but once the fascia comes down, the arch will go away. But it would be, I think, interesting to see if some sort of a suitable precast material is integrated as I described, along with the change of materials. I think it would get us there as far as creating the variety, creating the layers, giving a building base. So I would think at a minimum those conditions, but if the board overall agrees on lowering the height, then I think easily we could say match the fascia to the existing fascia height, thereby eliminating the arch if necessary, and then that would be the second. But I'm okay with kind of stopping at the first set of conditions, but if the board feels otherwise, we could certainly add that second part as well.
Board Member Lockhart, do you have any thoughts on that?
I think that, yeah, I appreciate all the conditions. I agree with those. I think it's whether or not we bring down the fascia if that's a condition versus leaving it more to the applicant's discretion to play with how they want to minimize the entry. And I do think the staff could work with the applicant to get to, so if they're finding that when they change the materials, it's not sufficient, then that could be the next step,
Okay.
so that's what I'm thinking is
So
that.
like a more of a consideration?
A consideration should the materials not help to bring down the massing of the, once they start to investigate this with you. Yeah, I still would love to see the arch go, but that I can, if no one else opposes to that, then yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you guys have like what the rundown is of what conditions we have currently right now? Can you read that?
Yes, so far it's either lowering the fascia to match about 6 inches, I think, right? Was that 6 inches?
Sorry, it was more about lowering it to align with the existing fascia at the two side pitches. So essentially, I don't know if the world
Where
can
they
see it.
would meet.
Yeah, where they would
basically.
meet, essentially. So that there was a continuous, and to make it feel more integrated. Right now, I feel like it appears disjointed to me from the rest of the facade, so I think.
So that would be
Yeah.
the one condition, and then another condition would be either to consider materials to help bring down the massing, keep the precast concrete?
I would say that instead of a consider, for sure, I think it's a great
Yeah. Can I
actual
take a stab
condition.
at this?
Yeah,
Yep.
that would be great.
Yep.
Thank you.
So I think we would introduce a condition saying that applicant shall work with staff to integrate new precast color and texture that would create a contrast with the background stucco, period, to continue the precast onto the entry planters, or create, or bring in a different stone veneer or cladding for the planters as deemed appropriate by staff. And then the third condition would be integrate some sort of a decorative paver for the pathway up to the entry and also for the driveway up to the gate. That again would cohesively tie the design together. The last part would be either continue the precast onto the right side of the building base, or if the planter is of different material, use the planter material on the right side of the building base. If all that creates enough variety and lowers the overall massiveness of the design, then perhaps staff does not need to work further with the applicant to lower the height of the entryway.
Okay.
Something like that.
Well said, yeah.
Just to clarify, so when you're talking about the right side, you're talking about when it turns the corner. So basically, the planters, the same material facing the planters would then continue around the corner, or are you talking about actually on the face of the building itself?
Well, the face of the building itself on the right side could probably improve with a base. And now if the gate is, let's say, moved back 6 inches or something from the building corner, that base could go and terminate at the gate. Because right now they have the gate smack at the corner. But if that goes in, let's say 6 inches or 8 inches or something like that, then that building base could come and turn the corner. But it doesn't need to go all the way up to the window sill. It could be,
The height of the planter.
it could be the height of the planter and, you know, just some sort of integration and
Yeah.
thoughtfulness. Because on the left side, you have the sill much lower, but I'm not sure if it's higher than the entry or it's higher than the planters or if it's at the same level. It's kind of hard to tell. But perhaps the left side is some sort of a barometer, but it's just some sort of reworking of this facade without being extremely prescriptive to work with staff on it.
Tie together
Yeah.
the elements.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? I think the conditions that Board Member Simonian read were good.
I would just say that the lowering the fascia board, though, I think should be consideration as opposed to a
Right.
condition. I don't think we should prescribe that. If it works out to be the correct solution, then I think we should, have them consider it, but
I think that's the way I'm wording it, though.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm saying,
that's what he
if
said.
all this is done, an applicant is able to work with staff to come up with an amicable design solution, then great.
Okay.
But if staff feels as though there needs to be more, then at that point in time, I guess they could have the freedom to work with applicant to try other things, such as lowering it
Right.
okay.
and aligning the fascia, et cetera.
And just to be clear, we're keeping item number 2, all of this is working towards number 2, restudying the proportions of the entryway.
I think all this is
Right.
in
Right.
place of.
That's what I'm wondering, is
Yeah.
if we're keeping both.
I think well, no, we would not be keeping number 2.
Yeah, this
Wouldn't
would
it be
all be
replaced?
replacing what was the
Okay.
pre-existing number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 2 almost would be a consideration then, if all else fails. But, yeah, I think the idea is to replace number 2.
Yep.
Allow me to catch up here. I know we were talking about the fascia of the front entry. When we were saying we're lowering the fascia to match the height of the pitch of the existing roof, we were saying that they meet and they're at the same height. Or we're talking about height, we're talking about lowering the weight of the lack of the better word, the beefiness of the fascia to match the weight of the existing? Is that what we're saying? Or are we talking about the height?
Actual
No, the actual
height.
height.
the
Actual height,
of
okay,
it.
thank you. I just wanted to Okay.
Okay?
I think we have enough to even, we can go back to the conditions and review the tape, because I think the board has been very clear as far as their prescription, as far as their conditions. So do we have a motion with the staff's conditions striking out and modifying number 2 and modifications that were prescribed in discussions with during board's deliberation? Do we have a motion?
Sorry, I just would like to add to the condition that Board Member Simonian mentioned, is that perhaps at the end of it, we could say, allude to the goal is to decrease the monumentality of the entryway.
Sure.
Just to integrate what we're trying to achieve with these conditions. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. With the further clarification with the condition, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, board member, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by board member Halajian and a second by board member Simonian. This will be roll call. Board member Halajian?
Yes.
Board member Lockruff?
Yes.
Board member Simonian?
Yes.
Board member Welsh?
Yes.
And Mr. Chair Cascanian?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 5-0 with the conditions.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And moving on to the third item, and the last item this evening, it is a project located at 2009 West Mountain Street. It involves a project that has conversion of 461 square feet at the ground level into a garage, and also doing a 120 square foot garage addition at the lower level. But staff just request maybe a 1-minute break.
Yes.
So I can get my PowerPoint presentation loaded up, so.
Sounds good.
Okay, very good.
All right, have a good night.
I wonder if they're gonna put lift station for the basement. You know, they're putting like 9 feet deep basement.
Here?
The previous one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
Oh, you wonder what?
yeah, I wonder if they're putting. Yeah, what is it gonna do? How it's 9 foot deep.
Hey, Mr. Chair, I'm ready to move forward again. Once again, this is 2009 West Mountain Street. This project is generally located in the Northwest Glendale on an approximately 10,000 square foot lot. It's an interior lot zone R1R. It has a narrow profile, approximately 50 feet wide. It's elongated with a depth about 200 linear feet, I apologize. It's surrounded by other single-family land uses. It has abutting R1R zones to the east and west, and to the south across the street is R1, and abutting to the north is the city of Burbank, which is a single-family neighborhood, as you can see on the screen here. The subject property currently exists with a one-story, approximately 2,200 square foot, one-story single-family dwelling with a detached garage at the rear, constructed in 1941. It exhibits a minimal traditional style with brick veneer, stucco, asphalt-clad shingle roof, a combination of modified horizontal sliding and fixed windows throughout the building. The topography of the property is relatively flat with a subtle incline that goes towards the rear portion of the lot, and it's sloping upwards and away from the street. The project and site plan, it proposes to convert 461 square feet of the existing floor area into a two-car garage, so the new garage will be towards the front. At the ground level, it includes ground level additions. This will be part of the garage, and that will be cumulatively on the ground level, 120 square feet. And they're going to be constructing a new second level, which is a total of approximately 1,100 square feet, and that's going to be stacked above the existing floor level. It'll include a rear balcony. It does, once again, it's going to demolish the detached garage at the rear. And also, it includes right-of-way improvements, which will include a driveway, walkway, and planters, which I'll go into, and landscaping. But this is in the public right-of-way. You can see shaded in yellow. Public Works did comment on this. It just requires an encroachment permit, so I'm just kind of stating that some of the driveway and the improvements do extend in the public right-of-way. Overall, largely, the site planning will be the same as far as the first level. I think most of the discussion tonight will be about its massing and second level extending above, but with the balcony extending at the rear, that does change the site planning at the rear. So, continuing with site planning, in terms of landscaping, the project proposes to have 18-inch planter walls, 8-foot wide finished walkway with porcelain anti-slip tile, which leads to the front entry. It will have a concrete driveway with a horizontal grass strips as accents. The landscape palette includes olive trees, wisteria, deer grass, lavender shrubs, and along with marathon sod interlaced with the driveway, as well as in between the California-friendly plants that's shown on this landscape plan here, and also the marathon grass will be planted throughout the backyard. Staff, as far as his conditions or recommended conditions in terms of landscaping, is to preserve on this screen here, it shows the magnolia tree in the public right-of-way that they're proposing to remove, and also to maintain the crepe myrtle. Here you can see on the street view, also outlined in the red dotted lines, to keep these for its shade value, its mature, its landscaping value as far as its appearance. Staff believes this, if they maintain it, it would add value to the design of the project. Second condition that they recommend is to reduce the driveway, and particularly along the west side. And this is more of a code requirement, is to have the driveway match its width to the garage opening. So adding that landscape along, as you see in the green pattern on the west side here, would introduce more landscaping. It would comply with code, reducing the amount of hardscape of the driveway so that it matches the width of the opening. And also, staff recommends that in lieu of the marathon grass, to replace it with another variety. They should investigate replacing it with a variety that it's identified on being California-friendly on WUCOLS or Be Water-wise, so that it's also compliant with the city's Phase 3 mandatory water conservation restriction for irrigation, which marathon grass is not identified on Be Water-wise or WUCOLS. So, moving on to mass and scale. The project proposes a new 2-story directly above the first level with minor ground floor additions, as you've seen on the site plan. Essentially, this 2-story will stack above the existing floor area, creating tall walls at the front and street sides. You can see. Excuse me. In regards to the city's design guidelines, the guidelines suggest the project should fit well with the surrounding fabric through the use of proportions, transitions, or other design features, which, while staff doesn't oppose a second story, it does recommend the project be redesigned with a step back of its second level and being away from the street, which we feel it would reduce the visual impact of a large monolithic building, and it'd be better and respectful with the surrounding neighborhood as far as its fabric and massing. And these are photos of the immediate adjacent properties to the east and west. Their second stories do step away from the street with a transitional mass that kind of like what the intent of the guidelines are and what staff recommends that this project to incorporate. Moving on to design and detail, the project includes quality, modern exterior materials. It includes white stucco, smooth stucco, a dark gray or black porcelain tile siding, described as like a manufactured texture natural stone. So it's not a natural stone, but it's manufactured with a texture to look like a stone by Decton. It also includes matte black aluminum cladded fascia, glass railings at the balconies. It includes a black glass garage door. Staff recommends the glass door, the applicant should reinvestigate to use a material that's less reflective, maybe something that's anti-reflective glazing, maybe a film on there to minimize if they were to include this in their design. And last, staff's minor comment, and this is just, it's in regards to the sconces. And if we're going to peer through the trees here, I kind of overlaid it here of the facade, particularly in the area shaded in purple here, the sconces between the first and floor level. Staff just recommends limiting the amount of lighting to be adjacent to the front entry. So in this case here, it would just be lowering the two sconces to be adjacent to the front door and maybe eliminating the other one that is kind of lingering in between, just to eliminate the amount of lighting on the property. Staff overall does request, or actually have a recommendation for return for redesign, and it's mostly in concerns to the massing and scale of the project. If the board would like me to go over these 6 conditions, which I briefly went over during the presentation, I'd be glad to go over this if the chair feels that I need to go over these.
I think we're okay.
Okay, good. Overall, this concludes my presentation, and of course, as always, I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Yes, Board Member Simonian?
Yes. Mr. Joe, in regards to the rendering that's depicted, there seems to be a large retaining wall for the planter on the right side, which seems to be higher than 18 inches. If it is higher than 18 inches, is that allowed in this zone?
No. In this zone here, technically retaining walls parallel to the street can be about approximately 5 feet. But the design guidelines recommend for retaining walls to be cut and not fill, meaning we're not trying to create these artificial flat areas. But technically in the R1R zone, you could have a retaining walls 5 feet, but it's not going to be 5 feet here. So technically, yes, it could, but the design guidelines recommend not backfilling them, you know.
And I'm measuring, there's a 2'6" difference between the garage. The house is 2'6". Finished floor of the garage is 2'6" higher than the finished floor of the garage, as depicted in the proposed design. So there are steps taking us up another 2.5 feet. That's adding up, obviously, to the height, that's adding to the planters, that's adding to the monumentality that you're referring to. Have there been discussions with the applicant as to the reasoning behind that, as to why raise the home 2.5 feet?
We could ask the applicant on their thoughts about that.
But
yeah.
there haven't been dialogue with him during the design process about
No,
that?
it was mostly trying to work with them, trying to work with the massing and what the guidelines do recommend, but.
And the elimination of the driveway, the existing driveway going to the back, and the elimination of the garage in the back, staff is okay with that notion. Staff's issue is really the height and monumentality of the building.
Correct. And the reason why, as stated in the report, there's a mixed driveway pattern of detached at the rear, some in the street facing. So we feel that this is the street facing garage would be fine. But you're absolutely correct. I think the focus of staff concern here is the mass and scale and tall walls. And we recommend that the second story be stepped away from the street to reduce its monumentality, tall walls, and mass and scale. So,
Thank you. I have no other questions at the moment.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Member Welch?
So, Mr. Joe, so the city is not requiring any kind of a sidewalk dedication or setback for a potential future sidewalk? Because there's no sidewalks on that street when I visited the site, so.
Correct. Public Works just, this project was routed to Public Works. They did not state that there's going to be an improvement. They just said, they stated that an encroachment permit would be required.
So these walls basically are running right up to the edge of the street. So those steps, those little retaining walls are running right up to the edge of the street.
That's correct, and I wanted to make that as a note here, and thank you for talking about that. These improvements are technically on their property, it's in the public right-of-way, so this would be reviewed by Public Works. Yeah.
Can you put up the existing pictures up?
Yeah.
So the magnolia tree, right now, it's where the planter would be? On the left-hand side?
More or less, that's where I am, but it would, after looking at this picture here, with the driveway configuration, it may cause some difficulty with the design they're going to have here, or they can kind of maybe have a design where it's somehow incorporated, but we could definitely discuss that, and I do acknowledge that there's going to be some difficulty preserving it, but I do think this tree does have some value if we can prescribe, if the board is inclined. Staff does recommend keeping the mature tree.
Any other questions? Yes.
And I may have missed this because I was looking at the contours while some of the presentation was happening, so I apologize in advance if I'm reiterating questions that I'm sure you've already kind of alluded to or asked, because I remember something about it. So as depicted on sheet A1, we have the driveway all the way to the left that's of a narrower width, then comes past the proposed planter, and then it gets wider. And staff was making some comments in regards to putting a planter or some sort of landscaping on the left side of the driveway.
Correct.
But is the intent to line up the garage door with the driveway? I mean, that's usually typically, the case, right? But in doing that, the magnolia tree would get impacted or would have to go.
Well, the reason why staff had, it's a code requirement that required driveways are to lead to a place of parking, which it would be the two-car garage, and it's to match the opening width to that required parking, so that's, yeah.
All right, okay.
But that would not necessarily require the removal of that planter that's there at the front of the driveway right now in the public right-of-way, correct? They're proposing to keep that in there. You're just restricting the actual vehicle entry point to what is currently the existing curb cut, right?
As
And then
what
it
they're
expands
proposing.
out, right, to
Yeah.
create the larger driveway space.
That's correct. I think that's what they're proposing to do. Which begs an interesting question. This is all in the public right-of-way and not on the private property. It's going to be under the purview of public works, but it's kind of a strange thing here. Because the DRB would review what's on the private property.
Just a question, since I've experienced this already. Insurance renewals with trees. My experience is that any tree that really overhangs a house, they're wanting it cut way back or even cut down to get an insurance renewal. That tree was a pretty sizable tree. And if it's sitting in the public right-of-way, what happens in a situation like that if a private home's insurance company is saying you can't get a renewal because of that tree, but the tree doesn't belong to them, it's in the public right-of-way?
That's an interesting question. I don't know. And I'm acknowledging right now, this is in the public right-of-way, which is the purview of the Public Works Department. And if anything, we can try to influence the design on the private side, on their property, that would lead to the design to Public Works on the right-of-way, yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? Any questions? Nope. Okay, we have one speaker card. Chris Adriasyan, if you could please just say your name for the record. Thank you.
Good evening, Chair and board members. My name is Chris Andreasen. I'm the project designer for the proposed residence at 2009 West Mountain Street. Thank you, Dennis, for the presentation. I know you covered all the main topics, but I'm going to quickly reiterate a few points. The property is located in the hillside zone, but sits on a gentle slope of less than 5%. The existing home is a single story and is nestled in between two neighboring adjacent homes that are both two-story. Our proposal introduces a second story that aligns with the surrounding scale while giving the home a clean, modern expression. The design uses a restrained material palette to create a cohesive and contemporary composition. Materials and colors such as white smooth stucco, black aluminum cladding, trims and windows, and black textured stone cladding. The large glazed openings along the south-facing facade are intentional, and they respond to the orientation of the floor plan and help reduce windows on the neighboring side for privacy, while still allowing abundant natural light to fill the interior space. While the composition has both symmetrical and asymmetrical elements, it achieves visual balance through proportion, alignment, and scale. The double height entry anchors the facade and creates a clear central axis, which is mirrored in the landscape design. The drought-tolerant planting and entry steps are arranged to echo the geometry of the facade, creating a unified and harmonious transition from street to home. Overall, our intent was to design a residence that feels modern yet proportionally balanced, contextually compatible, and environmentally responsive. One design that integrates architecture, light, and landscape in a cohesive and thoughtful way. Thank you for your time, and I'd love to hear your feedback.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes, Board Member Simonian.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Do you know what the finished floor elevation is of the main home?
So I counted finished floor of the main home as 0. At the garage, I have it as -2.5, I believe. Sorry, I don't have the drawings in front of me.
It's -2.5 in the garage.
Yes.
So what I'm trying to do is tie it in to the topo map, which has spot elevations. And I guess there's all these, there's steps that bring us up
Yes.
from the sidewalk, right? So there's 2.5 feet of height is created. And we'll get to what the finished floor is, and maybe we're going to ask you to try to figure that out while we're speaking. But I guess, generally speaking, what was the intent of creating that height? Why bring it up from the street another 2.5 feet?
So the biggest challenge is the existing demo calculation, which restricts a lot of things. So by keeping the floor level the same and keeping majority of the exterior walls the same, basically just try to keep the main levels the way that they were without reducing it or dropping it in. Originally, the first idea we had was to reduce the finished floor level and bring it down so that it's not so tall. But by doing that, it goes against the demo calculation of what's considered demo, what's considered existing.
So you're excavating the garage level down a bit, but keeping the main
Dennis,
level
can you put the
essentially.
Picture of
Technically,
the
because there
facade
is
pic-
about,
the
I
street
think,
fa-
roughly 4 feet
facade
of a
picture
difference
up.
of where the crawl space would be on that section. So the finished floor in that area would go away, and there would be some excavation in the garage portion, but because there's such a difference of a gap in height.
So
you
there's a
could see it
crawl
on the-
space under the main.
Yeah, if you
residence there. It's
see
not slab on,
on
right?
the existing picture over there, there's those 2 floor vents underneath the window on the left.
Okay.
So there's a huge difference in height.
Right. But let's say you're proposing a finished floor of much higher than what's there.
I'm leaving the finished floor exactly the same.
And, okay,
Same as the entrance.
same as the entrance. At the top of the entrance, which is about 4.5, 5 inches to the interior finished floor.
So there's a 2.5 feet drop right now from, or you're excavating
Yeah, I
the
think
garage?
there's 4, well, I'm sorry, from which portion of it?
From where the elevation is at the main entrance versus where the garage is gonna be on the left-hand side, is there a drop right now, a big drop?
Yeah, there's a huge drop. I was trying to, I'm sorry. From the finished floor to the bottom of the corner of the house, is your question?
Yep.
Is roughly 4.5 feet,
It's
I
3.5
would say. 3.5 feet.
Yeah, so there's the topo here that I'm looking at, the finished spot elevation of this sheet, so it's sheet A3. The spot elevation, say by the entry, is 199.94, so let's 200 for rough numbers. And the actual 200 kind of carries over to the entire backyard as well, more or less, around the pool. So say that's flat. If I carry that same line down and right where it meets the right-of-way, it's 196. So currently, there's a 4-foot difference between that spot elevation by the entry and the curb.
Sure.
Which then tapers down to the left side where the driveway is, it's about 2 feet below that.
Okay.
So on the left side, it's 193.11, which then goes up to 196.4 where the house is, which is only a difference of about 3 feet. Right? Yeah, exactly 3 feet. So my question is your finished floor, is it, if it's the same level as the house, well, forgetting where the house is at the moment, but what is going to be your finished floor? Is it more than the 4 feet that's proposed?
No.
It's 4 feet?
From the curb?
Yes.
If we could go to the site plan, probably, Dennis.
Is this existing?
Yeah, so if you zoom in kind of on the lower portion there, so it's 199.94 basically at the entry. Say 200, and as I said, it's 196 by the gutter. So it's going up 4 feet, the natural grade is. So technically, the house could be there,
Sure.
but now, is it going above that?
It's not, there might have been a mix-up as far as putting that, but I mean, I transferred the information into the program and started playing around and keeping the 0 at the same level.
Okay.
So there may be a slight discrepancy, but I can definitely clear that up.
So there's supposed to be, say, if it's 4 feet, 8 stairs going up, right? But the rendering depicts a lot more than 8 stairs. Now, depending on what your riser height is.
Yeah, 6 inches.
Right. I think the idea is this, is that staff is recommending return for redesign. And there's issues with monumentality, which we'll talk about. So what we're trying to figure out, or what I'm trying to figure out at the moment, is the height that you've created, which is above the curb level, is it necessary, and why is it occurring? And then we got to then step back and say, okay, if it is what it is and that's what you're proposing, now you're having these planners, et cetera, to make up the difference.
Yeah.
Almost creating a hillside kind of a situation, but that's a self-proposed kind of a thing that you're doing.
I see.
So that's where I'm going with these questions, is try to understand that.
Okay. I could definitely take another look at it, but I think the 199.94 is at the bottom of that step, if I'm not mistaken. Because when I originally looked at an AutoCAD, it was literally at the corner of that bottom step. And I think there should be, we could scroll up possibly a little bit.
There's a little bit delay.
No
There's a little bit
problem.
delay on my part with I think it's the size of the PDF, so bear with me.
No worries.
Yeah,
How much higher would you like?
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm trying to see where it said FF or finished floor, but I don't see it right now on this drawing. I'm pretty sure there is a discrepancy because, for instance, if we go outside where it says concrete tiles, on right below it where it says 199.88, there's also about a 6-inch gap from that finished floor to the interior finished floor. There's another step. So I don't know why on this drawing it's not showing it, but
So the finished floor is 6 inches above, say, 200, more or less, at the moment,
On the current house, you mean?
on the current
Yeah.
house, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, okay. Okay, thank you.
So on the facade in this area above the garage, the plans seem to indicate that the bedroom number 4, that's covered in this metal kind of material there, is actually stepped back from the garage. The renderings don't seem to show that. It's hard to tell exactly, but it seems like that's in the same plane. So is there an actual setback?
Yeah, there's, I believe, 2.5 foot of a step back, and then it breaks back one more time with that balcony for roughly, I believe it's 9 feet.
But this corner piece that sits right here,
Oh, we're talking about that.
well, I mean, I was talking
Oh,
about
yeah,
this, but
okay,
now
yeah.
I'm looking at this.
Yeah.
Okay, so this element here, this architectural element,
Yes.
basically extends past the garage, it extends out from the garage.
Yes.
And then straight up.
Yes.
And then the overhang is even further out than that.
Yes.
So the second story has this big like parapet structure here, which overhangs both the garage and this post that also extends past. So we're stepping outwards, basically, from the house, okay. So I just wanted to get clarification on that, okay? And then, did you look at the conditions that Mr. Joe had put together, and do you have any specific thoughts that you want to share with us about those?
As far as the conditions, as far as massing and scale and height goes, I think it's fair to potentially reduce the height. I could definitely work on that. The driveway portion of it was a bit confusing. If the tree stays, there's no way for the driveway to become a little bit wider or to the same width as the garage opening. So, I mean, if there's a clear direction that needs to be taken, could definitely implement that into the revision of the drawings.
But your intention was with the driveway to leave the current curb cut intact.
Existing,
And
yes.
restrict the driveway entrance to where that current curb cut is. Put a planter there to block it, but then open up the driveway into the rest, okay?
Correct.
And that would be what you'd like to continue to do here?
Ideally, it seemed a lot more simple to leave it as existing without having to do another curb cut and making it larger. I kind of like personally the idea of having that little plant in the front, the planter box, gives it a different element. But if it's necessary to remove it, not opposed to it.
Okay.
Thank you. Member Lockwood?
I was just going to expand on that. Did you have other thoughts on how you might reduce the massing, other than reducing the height?
To me, I understand that on the right-hand side of the building where it's one large continuous wall, may seem like a large mass, but it was really important, at least for the design purposes, to get a lot of natural light into that space because that's the south facing. To the left, we have bedrooms as far as the orientation of the plans go, and kitchen and pantry and the garage on that side. So there isn't any interior natural light coming into the interior space from that side. So by allowing that continuous wall and without having it broken apart, gives it a lot more allowance on the light to enter the space.
I'm sorry, did you say the glazing was on the south-facing wall, or?
Yeah.
Did you, and then also the the kind of column that Board Member Welsh was alluding to, did you try without a column there, or?
Yeah, it's ornamental,
Oh,
it's not,
purely, it's not structural?
no.
Okay,
If it's distracting or whatnot, then,
okay,
but it's purely ornamental.
thank you.
Board Member Lodgen?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Mr. Chairman, have you considered pushing the second floor back? Just you have, I mean, the lot is pretty deep, and you have about, it's hard to read here, but over 90 feet.
200.
I mean, from the balcony, you still have another 90 feet.
Oh,
So you
yeah.
can push it back. And I was wondering, have you given some thought?
We did explore that option. The design that the owners wanted to go with was more upfront, so tried to.
That will address one of the conditions that Mr. Joe pointed out. Your neighboring properties have second-story setback, and
Yes.
and you don't. So, I mean, it's something to consider, especially you have the room to.
Yeah.
And then I noticed you're introducing steel frame. I guess you're keeping some of the existing wall, and then you're adding new. So you want to do remodel, not a brand-new ground-up construction.
Correct.
Okay. Is that also, it gives you more flexibility for open space by, longer spans, I should say?
For the remodel aspect
For
of
the
it,
introducing steel frame instead of wood?
I think it's necessary for the way that we had to approach the project, because in order to do new construction, the current setback would be 10 feet on each side, which would reduce the width of the house to 30 feet wide, which
Yeah.
would
Yeah, it's
not
really
be
narrow.
pleasant, yeah.
It's, okay. Those are my questions, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Any other questions?
One last question as it pertains to the rear of the house. On the lower level, adjacent to the living room is a porch or a room. What is the use? What is the intended use for that room?
The proposed use would be an extension of the living space, but I believe after 5 years, I'd be able to remove that portion, because once again, there's a very tight restriction on the amount of demolition that is allowed.
Okay. So that's going to come out at some point, and then we have this big balcony above.
Yes.
Have you considered maybe not having a 20-foot balcony, deep balcony, and then pushing the master and the bedroom more towards it, into it, and then also kind of stepping away from the street as far as the second level is concerned?
Yeah, for sure, that can happen, but once again, the biggest thing we were trying to focus on was getting as much natural light into the main living space. So by having that double height entry allows us to have as much possible light coming into the house.
Is your concern to get light, you mean into the kitchen and living room?
Kitchen and living room, well, not as well. A little bit of light would eventually drag down into that portion as far as like direct sunlight getting in there, but as much natural light as like we could flood into the interior space, hence the reason we have such large openings. And
No, I guess if the whole thing kind of shifted towards the balcony, the balcony would get smaller, and you'd have a bigger setback on the second floor from the street.
yep,
So it wouldn't affect natural light or anything like that, I don't think.
could definitely take that into consideration.
I don't have any more questions.
Okay. Any other questions? Nope. All right, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Do we have any callers, Mr. Joe?
We do not have any callers.
Okay, cool. I do not have any more cards, so we're gonna close out the public portion, go into deliberation. Board Member Welch, you want to get us going?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I mean, Generally speaking, I like the design, you know, as was noted before, there are two-story homes on either side of it, so I don't have an objection to that. It's really just a question of blending it into the neighborhood context here. And as Mr. Joe pointed out, the two neighboring houses have their second-story masses pushed considerably to the back, so I think that that would be something that we really need to be looking at here. In particular, you know, the extent to which the massing is there front and center above that garage, I think it's really the thing that probably stands out the most, is something that we need to revisit here. And then secondarily, the two-story massing. I understand what you're going for there, and I can you know, empathize with that, but nevertheless, it's all, you know, basically a big box, and I think that we need to help you break that box up a little bit. I think that whole two-story section can be reduced. How much we reduce it is a question, but I would say it needs to come down so that you have sufficient differentiation between the needed two-story height where the bedrooms are and the unneeded two-story height above that dining room and stairway. That will also help us reduce the monumentality of that entryway with, you know, a door opening, which is a massive pivoting door, and an equally massive window of the same exact dimensions right above it. So I think that if we can reduce that height on the right-hand side and step back the second story, I mean, in particular, I'm you know, looking at this bedroom number 4 on the second floor, which I know it's not our purview to really comment on in the interior layout, but nevertheless, it is a bedroom without a closet, without access to a bathroom. So to me, that's not where a bedroom should go. But on the ground floor behind the garage, you have a bathroom opening into the garage, but a big sort of dead space there where I would think that would be the more natural location for a fourth bedroom, to be there with access to a bathroom on the ground floor. But regardless of that, the notion of this, you know, non-structural pillar on the second floor there, I think that needs to be revisited. If it serves a functional purpose, you know, we can talk about it, but just as a decorative element, it's just considerably adding to the mass of the house. So I think the whole reworking of that and pulling it back from the street is necessary, whether you're pulling the entire mass of everything or just taking off that bedroom number 4 and relocating it downstairs, you know, might help. But the whole roof structure that's there, all of that, I think, needs to be revisited because it's just very massive. I think the entry stairs also, I mean, especially because they're encroaching into the public right-of-way, they're very wide. 8'3" wide is how I've calculated that out here. So that seems awfully wide. And, you know, you've got at least 8 steps here going up to the main floor, leading right down to the street. So I would prefer either that to be restudied, to have more of a flat landing at the front, and maybe the steps can be pulled back further, and certainly it should be narrower. 8'3" is very wide for that space. I agree with you about the driveway. I think having the keeping to the current curb cut is good, and the planter there, I think it's a nice touch. It actually helps shield it a little bit, so I think that's good. Obviously, staff has a point about the driveway width, so you'll have to check, you know, how that is and whether you can really get in there. I would be afraid of backing into that wall all the time if it was my driveway. Mr. Joe's point about the lights is very apt. There should be as little light on the surface of the house as possible and brought down to where it's going to be actually functional by the doorway, not way up high, not overlighting the facades just for overlighting the facades. So those are my thoughts for right now, so I'll turn it back.
Thank you. Board Member Lockoff?
So first, thank you for the presentation. And I concur that this is a resubmit for redesign. And it is mass, it has too much mass. I appreciate Board Member Welsh's comment about breaking the box. And I think that's what we need to achieve here, both vertically and horizontally. I think that but stepping the top back could work, and even if, again, I think a key element to remove is that non-structural column above the garage. The garage for me is a lot more prominent than I'd like it to be. I definitely agree with staff's recommendation for the change in glazing or even material, just so that it's not so prominent and kind of, it's this is the closest thing to the street, and it's just too important, and I think distracts from the rest of the house. I was going to mention regarding glazing that in general for passive cooling, generally you want more glazing on the north side. The south side, it's going to be pretty hot. And so just thinking about that, you might reconsider where the window placements are. I also think in general, I would, while it's not facing the front of the street, the side elevations, the west elevation in particular, I think the fenestration needs to be restudied. You can see it's pretty massive on the sides as well. And so let's see. I think stepping it back, from the front more will help with that, but it's still, I think the side elevations need to be reevaluated. So removing the column. And then I'm not opposed to where the driveway's located. I do actually like that there's a planter in front of the garage. I like that something's covering it. It's, so I think that, in my opinion, could stay. I agree with Board Member Welsh's comment regarding the width of the stairs, or if anything, making a few steps up and then a nice flat area. I think it's a missed opportunity for the applicant to actually utilize the front yard more. There could be more of a flat area. The planter doesn't need to be so high on the right-hand side. And it would be more friendly to the pedestrians who, it'll be, as it is right where you'd be walking. And there, and I think in terms of the roof line, I think if it's floating, but it does need to come back. I do appreciate modern aesthetic, and I want to say that as a board, I think we actually are very supportive of modern aesthetics. So you don't need to go back and redesign in that regard, but really breaking up the massing is key. So, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Simonian?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I completely agree with my colleagues. I think you have an opportunity here to step back for a moment and just to reassess the site and to figure out what's important to you and what are some things that you should change in order to keep that 50% rule, which is what I think you're trying to stay true to. So at the moment, it seems as though you have a vision for what this should look like. The architecture, language is distinct, and you started working on it, and then you tried to kind of make it work with the 50% rule, and then you just started adding things to it, which is okay, but now you have an opportunity to really refine things. And so height is an issue, and it's been pointed out by staff, and the board agrees with it as well. So I think first place to start is site planning. And so you have your 200.5 finished floor. And if you're maintaining that, then you're really going 4.5 feet from the street. And any kind of a gradual kind of, landscaping that comes up, the more gradual it is, the less retaining walls you're using will actually help with the massing and the perception of massing and bulk. So if you would imagine, if you're having guests come and visit the home, they stop and they're gonna open their door and they're gonna hit the planter. And what they're gonna end up doing is parking either away from the planter or parking elsewhere. So it's a good idea to step back, say about 3 feet, and to create a flat area to allow for doors to swing open and also pedestrians, et cetera, to walk by. And then you start to minimize, not go with a 3'5" or 3'6" kind of walkway, but something between 8 feet and 3.5 feet. And perhaps you could have more of a knoll on the left side. It doesn't have to be a planter. The dirt could come up, and then it could come down on the other side. So you start kind of working with those shapes to define your entryway. You have your finished floor, and I think then you start talking about mass and how to work with the mass. And as Board Member Walsh pointed out, you're creating this wonderful, beautiful, modernist home, but then you have like bedrooms that are 9'6" and 9'9" wide without a closet, which is not very livable. But at the same time, you have this double height, large, area, which is causing the height to begin with. So it's just an opportunity to redefine all this. I think it's a great idea to move that bedroom downstairs to create the opportunity to step back the second floor. That balcony in the front is not going to really serve a purpose. It's rarely going to be used. That bedroom is super narrow with no closet, so it makes sense to relocate that, push the second story back. So now, what you've done is created a lower building from the finished floor. You've kind of integrated the site plan, so you've eliminated unnecessary retaining walls. You've stepped back the second floor. And now you could start to bring the design language onto the east and west sides, maybe create some undulation, and then finishing it off on the rear. You may end up recognizing that that balcony may just maybe too big, and so you could actually push the second story into it. So there's opportunities to work with the language of the design, but at the same time not create as much bulk. But I think you always need to kind of be mindful of that 50% rule. It is very difficult to recreate a very modernist building onto an existing one-story while trying to maintain that 50% rule. So it's almost like you're creating this very difficult problem to try to figure out for yourself. And so you may want to kind of rethink some absolutes that you've set up, and I think you'll have an easier time coming up with a language when you return. Those are my comments.
Thank you. Board Member Simonian. Board Member Lodgen?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to add, my colleague, Mr. Simonian, said, in addition to the challenges that you're facing, you also have a very narrow site, like a 50 feet wide, and I it's, if you figure out the site and you will figure out, the rest of the scaling and everything. I think all the board members here gave great advice, and I don't want to sound repetitive, but bringing a bedroom down and pushing the scale of the second floor back towards the back of the house, it will not only open up the space and make the second floor even more livable, and you can have, each bedroom will have its own bathroom. In addition, it will be more coherent or more, open for, the flow would be better. That's what I'm trying to say. Again, I don't want to sound too repetitive, but I do agree a lot of the comments I've made here. So just reconsider the design. If you figure out the site, and I can see you have the skill set. This is a beautiful design. We just have to bring it, make it neighborly friendly, and of course we can comment on the public right away. That's going to be a set of challenges there, but I'm sure you have the skill set to overcome it. So thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Halajian. I concur with my fellow board members as well. I think you have done a great job with the design regardless, so I just want you to understand that. But there are a couple things that need to change up. Second story for sure needs to come back. I think that what Board Member Simonian did say about the front, about 3.5 feet, keeping it flat. so that, once the door does open, I think that was a really good point that we should also put into consideration. Okay with the planter, I think you've done a great job with it. Putting it in the front does break it up a little bit more visually from the street. But other than that, I think everything else our fellow board members did bring up, reworking the site plan. I think you're almost there. Next time around, a lot of people, whenever they do have a redesign, they come back with something even better. So I'm looking forward to what that's going to be when you bring it back. Mr. Joe? So I think we're good with the redesigns. I know we have some additional comments that we made, setting back to second story. We discussed, the front as well with the sidewalk, having some more room or space over there. So I don't know if there's anything else you'd like to read.
There was to reduce that pillar, to remove that pillar framing element above the garage, but I think that's kind of taken with pushing back the addition. That's kind of included with that. Reducing the width of the walkway leading up to there, narrowing it, and I think it's being reflected to Board Member Simonian's comment about having that transition, away from the street. So where you have stairs, a transitional landing or area, and have a gradual. I think the intent was to reduce the retaining walls, introduce, strength of the natural terrain. If there were to have some upgrade, introduce maybe a knoll, which could be a nice touch to it as well, instead of having retaining walls. I apologize here for these breaks.
The only one that we would also remove would be number 4, right? Because I think number 4 was preserve the mature magnolia tree located within the public right-of-way.
Absolutely, strike
Yeah.
number 4.
Strike number 4. We're keeping 5, we're keeping 6.
I thought board members, Walsh's comment about, which I echoed on, with relocating the front bedroom on the second floor and the deck, the bedroom elsewhere, eliminating the deck in the front on the second floor, thereby pushing the second floor back. And then also perhaps lowering the height over the second story on the right side, because as you could see on that depiction on the right, lower right, the right side of the building just kind of pops up and it's extremely vertical. So a combination thereof of lowering the double height side, pushing back the second story, coupled with the fact of lowering the finished floor to, and I think it might be a depiction issue that you're working with. Once all that's done, it's going to dramatically change the scale.
Yeah.
So those would be some conditions to add to.
Okay.
One other thing is, I think we, maybe I missed it, but we removed condition number 2 about the driveway, right? It's my understanding that the board's okay with the driveway as designed.
Yep.
Just wanna-
Well, I think
yeah.
the condition was relating to the zoning code.
What we could do is,
But-
instead of being boxy, like I was just trying to demonstrate an idea, it can be more curvilinear, where
Got it.
Yeah.
it could meander and still meet the intent of the code, and it tapers into it. So we could do
And the
that.
knoll would work with that. That was
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
what I was thinking, yeah.
And I
Yeah.
strongly support the knoll. I know there are other knolls on Mountain, and I see people sitting on them, and just and engaging with the community. It's great, so recommend it.
And just one clarification, I think the board member Simonian was talking about the area within the public right-of-way, having like a 3-foot setback there, so that there's no walls there, because people, when they open their car doors, or people walking their dogs, will have some little buffer zone between where the property's improvements exist and the street.
Yep.
Sure, to preserve the natural terrain, because it does have that lower the curb, and it has that gradual height. So yes, they're introducing some fill in there. So absolutely, we'll include that. Another comment we heard was along the interior facades, the fenestration pattern, maybe restudy the window patterns on the sides. And I think that's about it I have.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So you have pushing the second story back by relocating the bedroom and eliminating the street-facing balcony.
Yes, that's correct. But,
And it's over.
I don't want to be over prescriptive of the interior, but yes, the intent of, maybe perhaps that would be the amount of pushback we would have, it would be that bedroom that the board would like to see if we were to push back the second story volume. Maybe we can prescribe it that way. Or any way that we can work with the applicant. I kind of want to stay away from the interior, totally redesigning where the bedroom should go. And that's the only reason why I say that, that's all. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Does that feel like we touched the essence of the board's direction?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
I missed, is the non-structural element, the removal of any non-structural elements in the conditions that you read back, or was that being eliminated?
I was going to say the non-structural element. I think that the architectural element above the garage was supposed to help support the beaming across there, but to span it. But I know we would like, with pushing that volume back, that structural purpose would go away.
And he was.
But any of the, I think what you're talking about is that solid wall along the western facade. Is that what we're speaking about?
Correct.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm bringing this up strictly to help, because I would hate for you to get past this point and then have an issue with building and safety. So my understanding is you're trying to stay away from altering more than 50% of the building's walls and roofs, correct? The roof is part of that. So, Mr. Cho, if we're adding a second story, what part of the existing roof is going to stay?
You know, I think it's going to be a delicate balance that the applicant's going to have to kind of find there. Because as of right now, all the roof is going away.
Correct. So
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
saying, the big picture discussion is, if the entire roof is going away, unless there's some release mechanism that says, well, unless the walls stay in their current position, you could take, it seems as though more than 50%. Well, you're saying, that, if you have a solution for that, great. That's all I'm saying is, think about that, because you might really have a hard time later, because anytime you're really close, like 49.8% or something, it ends up backfiring. So just be careful with that. It's up to the chair.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. So the rule states that if you demolish the roof, it counts as the interior floor space, and then all the exterior surface walls count as square footage area space as well. So both those numbers combined with the amount that you're removing is how you calculate the percentage. So went over that in like very specific detail, went to building and safety as well, talked to them about the definition of abandoned in place, so that was a large discussion as well. So spent a lot of time figuring out those details so that, let's say this did get approved, or whenever it does get approved, go back, and then you can't do it is a
Get
huge
things
waste
in
of.
writing.
Yeah,
Get
exactly.
things in writing.
Exactly, so spent a lot of time researching that portion of
Okay.
it before getting here.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we have a motion?
So with that, yeah, I'll make a motion for return for redesign with all of the conditions that we've all laid out here.
I second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Board Member Welsh, a second by Board Member Luckera. This will be roll call. Board Member Halajian.
Yes?
Board Member Luckera.
Yes.
Board Member Simonian.
Yes?
Board Member Welsh.
Yes.
And Mr. Chair, Kaskanian.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0 to return for redesign with conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Joe.
Thank you very much.
Forward. Staff does not have any department comments or announcements. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Move we adjourn.
Okay, the time is 6:52 PM and we are adjourned.